Hello and welcome to another episode of IVM Likes. Wishing you all a very happy Father's Day. Woo!
Yeah!
Wow, you guys actually went along, right? Alright, I'm Antariksh I'm joined by my co-host Snayhil and Abbas. Hello Snayhil and Abbas.
Hello Antariksh bhai.
All good, man. How you doing?
All good.
How's your dad? I don't know. Say hi to dad. You know, like, have you heard the saying, say hi to mom?
Actually, this episode will be the episode that I'm going to send to my family and tell them that this is what I do in Bombay.
Yeah.
They've been asking for...
Dad, this is what I think about you.
भाई they've been after my life कि तू करता क्या है बॉम्बे तू अब मैं उन्हें पॉडकास्टिंग समझाता हूँ तो वो कहते हैं क्या है मैं कहा यार माइक पे कहानियां सुना रहा होता हूँ बेसिकली एंड देन दे आर लाइक वो नीलेश मिश्रा की तरह मैं कहा नहीं अगर वो अपनी ड्रंक स्टोरीज बता रहा है तो देन दैट्स अ डिफरेंट थिंग सो फाइनली दिस एपिसोड विल बी क्लीन एटलीस्ट फ्रॉम माय साइड
No, it's not. Drunk stories. You already talked about.
I have to send this episode to my dad.
We are also joined by Jalasmi. Hey Jalasmi.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well. How's
your
Antariksh?
relationship with your father?
Wow.
Let's
Straight away.
No, it's nice.
Hello.
He's the only person in the family I have no issues with. He's the best person.
Okay, that got deep. Let's talk about that.
Yes.
Why not? Yeah? Why?
Because
Why
he
is that
doesn't
judge as
judge.
much.
He doesn't be sarcastic. All he wants
He
is
doesn't
beta.
get involved in my life at all. It's
No,
so
no.
great.
All he
that-
wants is beta. सुबह जल्दी उठो, रात को जल्दी सो.
That's all, and he's happy.
it.
Majani life.
Yes.
मस्त अपने डैड को क्लोज फ्रेंड्स वाले सर्कल में ऐड कर लो इंस्टाग्राम पे
नहीं इतना भी नहीं.
Yes. And apparently us three people who don't have great relations with our dads are
Hey,
also joined by Abbas Momin.
Yes, hi.
Who has the best relationship with his dad.
Yeah, no, not really. My relationship with my dad is typical Indian father-son relationship where he calls me every day and he's like, सब ठीक है? तबीयत ठीक है? खाना खा लिया? चलो ठीक है.
Oh, you mean like it's like 30 seconds of actual what you need to talk about and then the rest is just awkwardness.
And then there is a pause.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
And then you both realize.
sometimes like day before yesterday, there'll be the 3 questions. खाना खा लिया? सब ठीक है? तबीयत ठीक है? और बारिश शुरू हो गई है.
That's all dads. That's all dads.
परसों अब्बास भाई चौथे पड़ाव तक पहुंचे.
That's the next step in his relationship with his dad. That's very cool. Yeah. Congrats. We're moving up. So that's what we're talking about on this episode. We're talking about Father's Day is coming up. We already did a Mother's Day episode. So we had to kind of, like banta hi tha, we can't really help it. So we're going to talk about some cool dad stories. If you guys remember any of your dad jokes, I'd be happy to hear them also. And that and a lot more coming up.
Yes, right after this short break. And we're back.
Like Terminator. Who maybe did have a father himself. Did Terminator have a father?
No, but the second Terminator is
Senior.
very much about being the father figure. No,
He
for
is.
a single
that's-
mother. Yeah.
For since Terminator 2, it's about being the father figure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Be a father
Yeah.
figure.
So Terminator, he's a good father. Right?
Also, the first Terminator, he comes back to kill the dad. I mean,
There is a father figure in that
Yeah.
who is trying to kill, and then the second movie onwards he becomes a father figure in every
Exactly.
movie.
Not a good start to a Father's Day episode.
I'll kill your father, then become your father. Damn it.
Guys, he has to send the episode home.
Hi, we'll keep this in mind throughout the episode.
correct.
ये episode मेरे घर वालों के लिए एक इंडिकेशन है कि मैं बॉम्बे में क्या कर रहा हूँ.
Okay.
Yeah,
Snehil,
hey,
you were
uncle,
telling
आपका
me-
बेटा बहुत सीधा है. Please
Snehil, you were telling me
don't
how-
worry.
Still, you were telling me you use protection so that you don't become a dad.
There you go. There you go.
Hi, namaste Aneja aunty. कैसे हैं आप?
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
Yeah, you're being responsible. But
You're
you know that
very
has happened. So on the Mother's Day episode, I have talked about how my mom once found condom in my car. Condoms in my car.
Oh.
And
Now I need to listen to that.
and so she found the condoms. She was searching my dashboard for cigarettes and all. She found condoms inside.
सोना ढूंढने के लिए तो हीरा मिल गया.
And then she was the box of condoms in her hand and she's just staring at me like, what is this? What is that? And I'm just driving. I don't know what to say for a second. Then I go, Mom, if you think about it, is it better if you find the condoms or is it better if you don't find the condoms?
And what did she answer?
She just laughed. She literally laughed and then
Flying chappal
and then we
received.
moved on to another topic. She laughed and then we moved on to another topic.
Okay.
about pregnancies. No. So coming back to dad.
बहुत गंदा IPL जोक है मेरे माइंड में.
बोलना.
Just call it a dad joke and say it.
Yeah, you're not sending this to your family anyway. Unless you edit it,
ये भी
which I am prohibiting you from doing.
Anyway, नहीं, I'm not. मेरे को भेजना है ये एपिसोड यार घर पे.
So just then भेज दे.
Anyway, अच्छा, we'll go to some good things that we talk about our family. Any good father memories do you have from your childhood? Let's start with that.
I have it's a happy, funny but awkward kind of a memory that I have.
Okay.
I love my father. Disclaimer.
We all love our fathers.
Yes, let's just start off saying that. And but I remember I used to be like a little naughty as a kid, not in a dirty way, but just as a kid. Okay, and so I went up to my dad, and I had just learned this from a friend earlier in the day in school, where I would put. My friend put his hand on my cheek and like, oh nice, oh so soft, oh that's so nice, and then he slapped me.
Okay.
As a joke, I don't know what the funny part was, but I found it very funny. And I at night.
बाप को तो नहीं मार दिया.
Exactly, dude. I went home.
And then, how old were you?
I was like in first standard, literally either first or lower, because we were still living in Delhi then. And so I go to my dad. My dad is lying down with like one arm resting or reading a book or something. And I go like touch his like, oh wow, nice beard and all whatever, like a rough beard. And I slapped him, light slap, but I still slapped him. And I remember immediately my dad, his expression was he was smiling and he became angry almost instantly. He didn't say a word after that. Okay. But I remember just laughing a little and then getting awkward and then just walking out of the room. And then no conversation happened about that ever. We've never talked about it. Till this day, we've never addressed it. I slapped my dad.
Your dad has trauma from you.
Yeah, really, he does, man. Like some two-stage shit I did to my dad.
Clearly, दादी जी को तो condom नहीं मिले थे. मिले होते तो.
No, you slapped him and then I was like, wow, dude, it was a G.I. Jane joke. You were like, keep my mom's name.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very light like tap. How much
Sure, it's okay. Stop justifying it.
I was saying, Dad, sorry. I'll send this episode to my dad.
Second way. So this
right
is
now, Snayhil's dad is thinking गलत लोगों के साथ जुड़ गए हैं. अपने पापा के ऊपर हाथ उठा रहे हैं लोग.
Second way ना एक बारी. So this is when I was like, क्या cool dad है यार मेरा. So what happened was मैं मम्मा एक बारी PTM पे गई थी स्कूल and टीचर ने बोल दिया योर सन हैज बिकम अ बिग बदतमीज. मम्मी गुस्से में घर आई एंड मेरी फटी पड़ी है कि मम्मी पापा को बताएगी.
Wait, but the teacher obviously said more than just she's become बदतमीज. What's the reason behind बदतमीज?
वही तो अरे स्टोरी सुनते नहीं अभी इंटरवल में.
I thought you just getting home to the result after that.
तो अभी क्या हुआ घर आके अब माय मॉम इज सुपर एंग्री एंड आई एम सुपर फटा हुआ कि भाई अभी पढ़ने वाली है क्योंकि मम्मा पापा को बताएंगे. मम्मी ने पापा को बताया, पापा ने कुछ नहीं कहा. स्पोर्ट्स डे आने वाला था नेक्स्ट वीक. हम लोग स्पोर्ट्स डे के लिए पेरेंट्स ऑब्वियसली गए और आई वॉज वेरी गुड एट स्पोर्ट्स. तो आई वन लाइक 2-3 गोल्ड मेडल्स एंड
humble brag, हाँ.
I have never won anything in sports day.
एंड अनाउंसमेंट हुई कि अब स्पोर्ट्स डे खत्म हो गया है. जिनके पेरेंट्स आए हैं बच्चे अपनी क्लास वाले टेंट में हैं, जाके उनको ले लो. तो अब माई डैड केम एंड मेरे को बुलाया गया एंड देन माई डैड वेंट अप टू माई टीचर एंड ही इज लाइक कि आपने इसकी मदर को बोला था कि ही हैज बिकम अ बिग बदतमीज. क्या बदतमीजी करी है इसने? सेकंड में था मैं. तो अब टीचर मेरे गले में 3 मेडल लटके हुए हैं, ठीक है. तो टीचर इज लाइक नहीं ही इज जस्ट नॉटी टॉकेटिव. देन माय डैड इज लाइक हाँ उसको नॉटी और टॉकेटिव कहते हैं, बदतमीजी क्या करी है इसने मुझे वो बताओ. नहीं ऐसा तो कुछ नहीं कहते. हाँ तो फिर सॉरी बोलो.
So cool.
He said that?
हाँ, and he's like, and I'm like, oh.
What did the teacher do?
The teacher is like, नहीं, I'm sorry, I used the wrong terminology, but it's just talkative. Like, हाँ.
बेचारे टीचर को भी याद नहीं हुआ यार, अब 20 मिनट की बात है.
And then my dad is like, बच्चे दूसरी में talkative और naughty नहीं होंगे तो फिर क्या होंगे? And then हाथ पकड़ो और ले गए. आई वाज लाइक ब्रो मेरा बाप पावर रेंजर है, ठीक है. एक्सप्लोजन करा, पीछे मुड़ के भी नहीं देखा है. सो वेरी कूल डैड. दैट वाज द पॉइंट. आई वाज लाइक यस
Mera daddy cool. What about Abbas? Anything you remember?
Like a cool story?
If you have one.
No,
Mine wasn't a cool story. It's just a weird story. But,
No, I think dads getting dominant in front of teachers gives a different kind of pleasure, because as kids, most of our time was spent around teachers and they used to dominate us. So this very similar thing happened to me. Is I missed the school bus. So then my dad had to drop me to school. और सुबह का जो डैड का मूड होता था, जो नींद में से उठा के मम्मी बोलती कि इसको छोड़ाओ, dads are extra grumpy because they get the few extra hours of sleep are gone and everything. So anyway, the whole 45 minutes car ride completely silent. कुछ बात नहीं हो रही, कुछ नहीं हो रहा है. Then we reached there and obviously I'm late because I missed the school bus and everything. And I think I mentioned this in passing on an episode before also. There was a Marathi teacher at the gate who was keeping score of all the late students who were coming. Okay, so my dad stopped the car and I ran to the gate, and Marathi teacher was like, no, assembly has started, now you cannot go inside. Okay. And
as usual.
हाँ, मेरी फट गई कि अभी मैं वापस जाऊंगा और डैड चिल्लाएंगे कि तो बस मिस कर दी, अब स्कूल भी नहीं जाओगे, ये वो. And Marathi teacher came, ma'am, please. और Marathi teacher बोली, no. And then suddenly I could feel my dad coming from behind. Okay. तो मुझे लगा, he's coming to whatever, slap me or whatever. And then my dad very casually was not even addressing the teacher, looked at me like, क्या हुआ? I was like, Marathi teacher is not letting me go because I'm late. And then my dad was like, हाँ तो ठीक है, चलो घर जाते हैं वापस. And then he just looked at the Marathi teacher and carried me away. And I thought that was pretty badass because then there was a stare down between me and between my dad and the Marathi teacher. And from then onwards, every time he had an altercation with the Marathi teacher, it was always epic, because I would tell my dad कि ये marks यहाँ पे ज़्यादा मिलने चाहिए थे, इन्होंने दिए नहीं.
Come to school and all.
So then sometimes my dad would give very, not that I recommend this or anything, like I am not here to defend my dad's behavior, but sometimes he would like give sick burns, like you should give more marks. Even then the teacher would be like, इसने answer लिखा नहीं उतना. And then he was like, shouldn't you just stick to checking if kids have come late or not rather than checking their marks?
Savage.
Not recommended. But yeah, this used to happen.
Damn.
Also my dad's
called your Marathi teacher a peon.
Not exactly, but my dad's Marathi is very good as compared to me, so he would fight with him in Marathi.
Like
Oh,
तो बच्चे
that's
देख
cool.
ठीक है, पेपर कोई क्वालिफाइड टीचर चेक करेगा.
That's not cool.
So yeah.
I remember sorry, Jalasmi, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I mean, I just have
Yeah, please go ahead.
I just have a cute little core memory with my dad. So 26 July 2005 वाले जो floods हुए थे, my dad was the closest in terms of office. So he picked us up from our aunt's place. He got us home. Mummy नहीं आई थी because mummy was stuck in Vilepale. So I just remember that it was raining. There was no electricity. He came home and somehow made khichdi for us.
Oh.
My sister, I and my dad, we had like a small candlelight dinner. And then the road had become a river because we couldn't see the road. से पानी था. तो पूरी रात हम तीन लोग जाग के we were just seeing रास्ते में पानी है. And it was just... That's a core memory that I have with my dad.
आपदा को अवसर में तो तुम्हारे यार आई थिंक जब हम छोटे होते हैं यार, आई थिंक अभी ऑल्सो कि आवर डैड आर ऑलवेज आवर हीरोज ना.
Yeah.
सो वन वेरी क्यूट मेमोरी दैट आई हैव इज कि वंस मेरे को क्रिकेट का शौक था शुरू से, अभी भी है, बट सो हम लोग क्रिकेट खेल रहे थे एंड बॉल कॉस्को की बॉल आती थी उस टाइम पे, तो वो फट गई थी एंड मैंने ना डैड को बोला कि मेरे लिए बॉल लेकर आना शाम को. एंड मैं ये मेंशन करना भूल गया कि कौन सी बॉल चाहिए. ठीक है, तो वो रात को आए एंड उन्होंने कॉस्को की बॉल निकाल, क्योंकि अंडरस्टूड है कॉस्को की बॉल ही चाहिए क्रिकेट खेलना, तो उन्होंने कॉस्को की बॉल मुझे कैच करा, एक जैकेट पहन के गए थे. आई वाज लाइक ओ थैंक्स और ये और वो. एंड देन एक और लेदर की बॉल, फिर एक फ्लैश की बॉल, फिर एक
बास्केटबॉल.
मतलब जितनी तरीके की बॉल से क्रिकेट खेला जा सकता था,
सीजन बॉल भी लाए.
वो सारी की सारी बॉल्स ले. एंड आई वाज लाइक बहुत ही, मतलब समझ रहे हो ना क्या, कोई वर्ड्स नहीं.
Stop crying, Snayhil.
Snail, I think you should send this episode. I remember, so we used to go, I lived in Goa for 2 years of my life, in my 7th and 8th standard, okay, as a kid.
गोवा में?
Yeah, in Goa.
Like with your family?
With family, because my dad had a transferable
Delhi,
job.
Goa.
जिंदगी में जीत
all
गया
over,
यार,
I know, right?
No.
But 7th, 8th standard, not ideal.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. I was a kid. Didn't do anything.
Yeah, okay.
And,
we'll believe that.
Sure. So
Incognito.
every morning we used to get dropped to the school by our driver.
Rich.
No, government employed driver. You know,
Okay.
Government
Driver
And so but sometimes when the driver couldn't make it, either of my parents had to drop us. So normally it would be my mom. Okay, but my mom used to drive really slowly. Okay, yaar, it's so slow. We get bored. Whatever. It's very snotty little brats kids. Okay, and school wasn't even that far away. It was like 15 minutes we would be there, regardless of the speed you're almost driving at. Okay, so my mom used to drive really slow, and she get really bored, and so we used to keep complaining, "Mom, nahi, we don't want to go with you. You drive really slowly." So one day my mom sent my dad. Ever since then, no, we were like, "Mom, you only drive us," because my dad drives even slower than my mom turned out, and even more carefully. Like he takes like a minute to start the car, levers, like adjust everything as you should, but you don't really always, But my dad did, and yeah, that's what my then my dad drives really slowly and really carefully, that to the point of being boring.
Has it ever happened where you guys were afraid to break some news to your dad because you thought he'll be really angry, but then surprisingly he was not that angry?
I'm sure it's happened. I can't recall right now.
Because I have sensed a pattern with my father. So again, people who've heard me on shows would know that I dropped out of dentistry, and my father is a doctor. Okay, so the very reason I was studying dentistry was because he wanted me to be a doctor, and I failed in my first year. Okay, so मेरी फट रही है कि मैं कैसे बताऊं रिजल्ट, कैसे बताऊं, all of that will be held back for 6 months, whatever. But somehow I mustered up courage and told him कि and I failed in all subjects, all 3 subjects. Okay, ऐसा भी नहीं कि एक पास हो गया. ठीक है ना, I told him
घर छोटा होगा, गाड़ी पर मैं खुश रहूंगा.
So I told him कि एक भी क्लियर नहीं हुआ and everything, and he's like कि अरे तो क्या हुआ, मैं भी फर्स्ट ईयर में एक सब्जेक्ट में फेल हुआ था, ठीक है क्लियर हो जाएगा. I was like okay, pretty chill, okay, I mean that I didn't expect that, ये वो. And then 2-3 days later, something else that they'll be angry on, then while scolding us for that, they'll be like, और fail भी हो गया,
That is
fail
so
हो
true.
क्या है.
That is so true.
So yeah, that's very, very dangerous. So if you have broken a bad news to your dad, don't in the next couple of weeks, because then it will come back to haunt you in the near future.
Absolutely.
भाई एक बार ना क्या हुआ था, so I and my mom were having a fight, good legit argument, ठीक है. एंड उससे एक हफ्ता पहले ना मेरी मॉम ने मेरे को एक टॉन्ट मारा था कि तू बहुत सनकी हो गया चीजों को लेके. लाइक ठीक है, वो था मेरे माइंड में. एंड देन माय मॉम वाज लाइक मैथ्स पढ़ाना है, एक तो मैथ्स पढ़ना है, ऑलरेडी बीटी है, ठीक है, तो जाके अपनी मैथ्स प्रैक्टिस बुक ले आ. मैं ढूंढ रहा हूँ, मैथ्स प्रैक्टिस बुक मिल गई, बट मुझे मैथ्स प्रैक्टिस नोटबुक नहीं मिल रही है. तो शी लाइक जाओ ढूंढ कर रहा हूँ. आई लाइक नहीं मिल रही है, रजिस्टर पढ़ा है, इस पे काम कर लेते हैं. नहीं वही चाहिए मुझे. एंड आई लाइक क्यों, ये आपकी सनक नहीं है अब.
क्यों, what is it?
क्यों, ये अब आपकी सनक नहीं है कि वही चाहिए.
Because she called him Sanki.
And बोल तो दिया heat of the moment में. And then I'm like, भाई ये गलत हो गया है, अब गलत. And then my mom is also like froze for a second and she's like, ये बोला कैसे तू. ठीक है, वहां से तो थप्पड़ पड़े ही पड़े, that is तो अलग. And then she said, पापा को अंधे उनको बताती हूँ. अब one thing my dad has never like hit me आज तक till date. अब आगे मैं कुछ कर दूं तो वो अलग बात है,
जैसे ये एपिसोड भेज दिया.
बट अभी तक तो मुझे उनसे मार नहीं पड़ी है. एंड आई वाज लाइक, अब यार मम्मी को आउट एंड आउट इंसल्ट ही हो गया एक तरीके से. आई एम लाइक डांट पड़ेगी घर आएंगे तो. घर आए पापा, मम्मी लाइक यार जिसने ये किया, कह रहे अच्छा चलो रेडी हो जाओ, डिनर पे जाना है हम लोगों ने अभी. तो आई वाज लाइक यस थैंक्स, आज डिनर था. भाई मैं इतनी फट में पूरा दिन खुद को पनिश करके मुर्गा बन के बैठा रहा था, पता है कि बस मेरी माँ मेरे बाप को बताया ना, और उन्होंने बताया एंड लाइक हाँ मैं समझा दूंगा, चलो अभी डिनर पे चलते.
I remember this one piece of advice, या फिर जो भी कह लो, when I was leaving for Bangalore, I was 21 when I was leaving for Bangalore, and he's like, बेटा ध्यान से रहना, बाहर ज़्यादा निकलना मत, all that he said, and in the end he said, and बेटा कुछ illegal मत करना. And I am like,
wow. So you never cut a signal in your life.
No, that's not what he meant. His precise words were, just just make sure you don't do any illegal activities. And see, I don't smoke.
That's
Drinking
legal though.
occasionally.
Both are legal.
The other
What-
things. The
what?
other things.
Say na.
The other things.
सही ना
ये सारी चीजें नहीं करती हूँ ना. मैं ड्राइविंग करती हूँ. So illegal activity by that he obviously meant.
समझ गया implied.
Sex.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's still better. My dad is like no hanky panky. ये तो मत बोले.
मेरे डैड ने बताया मेरी 12th के ना बोर्ड्स दिए ही थे मैंने, और मुझे पता था मैं करके आ गया हूँ बोर्ड्स. ठीक है, मेरे को मतलब अकाउंट्स के पेपर में 6 नंबर का क्वेश्चन बैलेंस शीट बनाना है. ठीक है, एक का आंसर आ रहा है 1,05,000, एक का आ रहा है 3,000. ठीक है, एंड आई एम लाइक इन दोनों में से कोई तो ठीक होगा ही. तो मैं आज एक बंदे से पूछता हूँ कि भाई क्या आ रहा है, कह रहा 40,000. कुछ आसपास ही नहीं है. मैं इतना फुद्दू था, मैंने दोनों आंसर काट के 40,000 लिख दिया. चेक नहीं कर रहा हूँ क्या
How did you arrive at that?
मतलब मेरे को अकाउंट्स इतना नहीं आता था कि 8 नंबर के क्वेश्चन में मैं लिख कर आ गया अकाउंट डेबिट अकाउंट क्रेडिट बस.
Dude, I was like that with physics.
आधा नंबर मिल जाएगा बहुत है.
But where is your
हाँ,
dad? Dad is ready to come in the story.
तो मैं करके आ गया हूँ बोर्ड.
एक मिनट स्नेहिल, जेंटल रिमाइंडर, एपिसोड घर भेजना है.
हाँ, वो मैं घर में बता चुका हूँ. उन्होंने देख लिया रिपोर्ट कार्ड मेरी. अब क्या ही छुपाऊंगा.
नहीं, योर चॉइस ऑफ वर्ड्स.
वो तो
रिमाइंड
कर गया.
वो तो बीप हो जाएगा ना.
Okay. हाँ फिर
What happened was, अब मेरे घर पे पता है क्योंकि मैं पेपर से रो के निकला हूँ बाहर, और मेरे डैड मुझे पिक करके घर
I
लाए.
just imagine you crying and
Bro.
marking cross across.
I swear,
150 and
accounts was even worse than maths. ठीक है, इतना खराब गया था. तो मैं आया हूँ एंड ये डील थी कि मेरे 12th के बोर्ड्स के रिजल्ट के बाद पापा मुझे थंडरबर्ड गिफ्ट करेंगे, रॉयल एनफील्ड की बाइक.
अच्छा बाइक.
हाँ, तो अब क्या, अब जिस तरह से मेरे बोर्ड्स गए हैं मेरे को बिल्कुल ही उम्मीद नहीं थी कि आ रहे हैं, बाइक आ रही है. तो जिस दिन बोर्ड्स खत्म किए उसके 3 दिन बाद पापा जी लाइक फोन आया, बाहर आओ बैल्कनी में आओ. मैं बैल्कनी में गया तो पापा खड़े थे, कह रहे अरे नीचे आओ यार फटाफट. मैं नीचे गया तो पीछे से चाचू नई थंडरबर्ड विद ऑल रॉयल एनफील्ड एक्सेसरीज लगवा कर आ गए. सुपर स्वीट, एकदम प्यारा मोमेंट. आई एम लाइक ओ बाइक आ गई और ये और वो. एंड देन चाचू इज लाइक अब पीछे वाली सीट पे किसी सुंदर इंसान को बिठाना, ठीक है. टू विच माय डैड रिप्लाइज, इसको मैंने बोल रखा है 25 तक कुछ नहीं.
Wait, Snehil, how old are you now?
Just
25 now.
25 now?
got him a new.
Congrats, Snehil!
तुम्हारा
You finally have
आप सुंदर बिठा
dad's
ले.
blessings now.
आप सुंदर पिचाई को बिठा ले पीछे.
Congrats, dude. Nice. Finally done.
चाचू कहते फिर किसको बिठाएगा, कहते मुझे. Like सही.
Nice. Very cool. Okay, do you guys drink with your dads?
Yes.
You do? Hey, great. Do you remember the first drink you had with your dad?
Yeah, I think it was, we don't drink very often in the house.
Okay.
But New Year pe, I think,
New Year's.
yeah, he got some beer घर पे की.
Nice.
If you want to drink, you drink with me. यार ऐसे बाकी लोगों के साथ मत पीना. People are not trustworthy. That's his way of. So
Sure.
yeah, I've had it.
Nice. I remember my first drink with my dad was on my 17th birthday.
या फिर जल्दी हो गया.
illegal activities.
That's what my dad meant. Yes. My dad was saying do more illegal activities. So I was 17 years of age on my 17th birthday, which is pretty cool. And I remember my dad. So you know, it's always like you can't show to your parents that you've already drunk alcohol before, right? So you act.
पापा ग्लास टेढ़ा करके बियर डालो.
Correct.
नहीं तो ऊपर वो जम जाए.
So the first time I drank, I remember the first few times I drank, I would act as if I'm not enjoying it as much.
Of
And like,
course.
this taste, and like leave half the bottle empty, like only drink half, you know, like nahi और नहीं पी जा रही. You have to waste the first few times.
साइड रख दो मैं जरा.
Yes. So yeah, but I still, it's very normal to drink at my house with family because Punjabis. I remember my grandmother used to drink almost till her deathbed. She was like in the last 6 months of her life she was on her deathbed, so she didn't drink then. But before, literally like I would say a week before that, she was merrily drinking like beers and whiskeys and having a good time, dude. So very normal to drink in my family.
मेरे नानू का एक रूल. अच्छा, so I have lived with my ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स, नानी नानू, जब से मैं 12-13 साल का था
Oh, nice.
तब से। तो नानू ना किसी भी फंक्शन में जाते थे, उनका वो होता था स्टेपल कि 2 पैक, और वो 2 पैक को बाकायदा पूरा फंक्शन चला लेते थे। ठीक है, एंड यू नो व्हेनेवर द वेट्रेस वुड कम और द वेटर वुड कम एंड लाइक सर ये 2 हो गए, 2 एंड सो मेरे घर में कोई भी ड्रिंक नहीं करता है, एंड आई एंड माय डैड, मैं भी नहीं ड्रिंक करता।
चल झूठा।
अरे सुबह तो तूने 2 लगाई
ऑफिस में ना। तो आई एंड माय डैड हैड दिस डील कि मेरे 25th बर्थडे पे वील ओपन अ शैंपेन, या उनकी 25th एनिवर्सरी पे वील ओपन अ शैंपेन,
whichever comes first.
उनकी एनिवर्सरी कम्स फर्स्ट। एक्चुअली मेरे मॉम डैड की एनिवर्सरी इज 14th जनवरी एंड मेरा बर्थडे 17th जनवरी।
Oh, nice.
Oh, you poor thing. They could have waited 3 days to open it. But
तो बट वो नई शैंपेन की बोतल ओपन हुई अभी तक।
अरे तो 25 का भी हो गया, फिर अभी
हाँ, हो
26
गया।
में।
हाँ यार, बट अभी तक जैसे आपने बोला ना कि वी आर पंजाबीज ऑफ लाइक वी ड्रिंक, वी आर आल्सो पंजाबीज बट वी डोंट ड्रिंक।
it's like a missed opportunity there. You and vegetarian Punjabis, you know, there are Jain Punjabis.
ब्रो नहीं,
That's like again a missed opportunity.
वो जैनी है।
Yeah, it's like a missed opportunity.
पंजाबी तो नहीं है।
I obviously have never, I mean, we don't drink because we grew up in a Muslim family, but I dated someone who had her first drink with her dad. And it is kind of a rite of passage for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Where it's very
Sure.
special. Especially in Malayali culture, I think this is a very,
Really?
very big thing.
Could
where
very
you
big,
drink first with your dad.
I don't know. I had no idea.
तो आपको, हाँ बोलो।
What like you know, so our dads, a lot of our dads at least, have like certain phrases that we've heard all our lives. You know, like the advice they give after the end of that. Like I know one of my dad's thing is whenever like he does like it one ups me or something, or he is able to solve something that I'm not able to. He always says, "After all, I'm your father." Like always, that's a very
Basically, बाप को मत
yes,
सिखा।
बाप को सिखा, exactly, yes. So, what about you guys? Do you have things like that?
So, I think if you want to really see your dad's true face, it's while they're driving. Okay, when road rage comes up. Okay.
My dad.
Ghar pe they are all very nicely put and everything. Yeah, but when they're behind the wheel, then they're. So this is not a very like, it's not a curse, but it's something I also picked up because I've always heard him say whenever he uses the term "aisi ki taisi" a lot. So it's like even when he's watching cricket and किसी ने अच्छा shot मार दिया, अरे देख मार ऐसी की तैसी. Okay, so in that thing it is passion that he liked the shot that Sachin has hit, and then if he's on the road someone cuts him by बोला तेरे ऐसी की तैसी करता हूँ. So like I've seen him use it in various versions of and emotions. That's just one thing that comes to my mind one phrase that he uses.
Whenever my dad wants to like share something with me, ना like कुछ ऐसा कुछ हुआ होगा उनकी लाइफ में and he wants like क्या कहते हैं उसे listening ear. ठीक है, तो he'll always say कि जब बेटे के जूते का साइज बाप के जूते के साइज से बड़ा हो जाता है तो वो बेटा नहीं बाप का दोस्त बन जाता है. So whenever whenever he uses this line on the call, I know कि आगे
like a long conversation
is coming. So मतलब एक तरीके से prepare हो जाता है इंसान कि अब ये बात होने वाले. So whenever he wants to talk about his business, his some low that he's experiencing financially या personally family में कुछ, he'll start with this and I'll be like, that is nice also.
मुझे ये मुहावरा, I came to know this muhavara in the most literal sense. I was also I think some 12 or 13 years old and बारिश हो रही थी बाहर and I think मेरी चप्पल टूट गई थी या कुछ, और मुझे किसी चीज के लिए मेरी मम्मी ने बोला कि कुछ लेके आ. मेरे पास चप्पल थी नहीं, मैंने देखा पापा की चप्पल पड़ी हुई, मैं पहन के चला गया, चीज लेके आया. जब मम्मी कलेक्ट करी थी मम्मी ने चप्पल उतारे, उन्होंने देखा कि अरे तू पापा की चप्पल पहन के गया था. मैंने बोला हाँ. एंड देन शी कॉल्ड माय डैड, सुनो देखो इसको तुम्हारे चप्पल आ गए. कहते हैं ना कि जब बाप के चप्पल आ जाए तो वो बड़ा whatever हो जाता है.
दोस्त
So for my dad, early to bed, early to rise is the only motto in his life. And
that doesn't rhyme.
He has this. It's okay. I just tried. So whenever we are sleeping beyond say 7:38, he'll just come he'll just slowly wake us up and अच्छा बेटा सो रहे हो, ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, सो जाओ. He does that every time and I'm just like we've all given up and we're like हाँ ठीक है चलो.
पहले ना मेरे डैड भी यही कि जल्दी सो जाना है, सुबह उठना है, ठीक है. एंड देन मैंने उनको इंट्रोड्यूस करा Amazon Fire Stick से.
अब बहुत लेट सोते हैं.
No, that is true. अगर कोई अच्छी मूवी लगी है टीवी पे, he will justify. अरे मेरे को, मैं रोज थोड़ी ना देखता हूँ. He'll watch 11:30, 12 o'clock conveniently and then go to sleep.
12 o'clock. So my dad has this.
Still early. My parents sleep very often at like 1:32 and all.
भाई ये सब मेरे को ऐसा रुकी नंबर्स लग रहे हैं भाई. माई डैड वुड कॉल मी एंड लाइक कोई ऐसी वेब सीरीज बता जो मैं 11 बजे शुरू करूं और सुबह 5 बजे तक खत्म हो जाए, क्योंकि सोना भी तो है. and it has come to a point where he calls me and he's like बेटा ये मूवी देख, ये वेब सीरीज देख, ये बहुत कमाल है. and I'm like कब हुआ ये रोल रिवर्सल भाई? मैं बता रहा था अभी तक मूवीज. Every movie.
What has your dad recommended you? You remember anything?
अभी कोई पंजाबी मूवी आई थी, कोई गल वखरी करके शायद, या कुछ ऐसी एक मूवी थी, वो देख. एंड देन इज लाइक अभे 2 देख ले, अभे 3 देख ले, अभे 1 देख ले. एंड लाइक अच्छा, लाइक अरे ये पीयूष मिश्रा का ये वाला बहुत अच्छा है, देख. नहीं मैं हूँ पीयूष मिश्रा फैन. मुझे क्यों नहीं पता है ये सब. आई थिंक अब पंजाबी डायरेक्टर्स को और पंजाबी मूवीज बनानी पड़ेंगी उनको देख, ताकि वो देख पाए. वो सब देख चुके हैं. एंड लाइक ही कैन बी अ वेरी गुड गेस्ट व्हेन इट कम्स टू recommendations on this episode though.
You should do that. Maybe we should make that a series. Snayhil's dad recommends. Yeah.
Have you ever called your dad out on his bullshit though? Like I'll give you an example.
Oh
like,
my God.
For example, he would come back home from work and he would go to sleep. And then he used to tell me कि कोई भी अगर आएगा ना मुझे पूछने, बोल देना मैं घर पे नहीं हूँ, ठीक है. This happened multiple number of times and then I lied about something and then he was giving me a lecture कि बेटा कभी झूठ नहीं बोलते. तो मैंने बोल दिया पापा आप तो जब सोते हो तो बोलते हो कि मत बोलो, कि बोलो घर पे कोई है नहीं. तो then for a second he was taken aback. I was like वो अलग बात है.
Always.
Like अब तू इतना बड़ा हो गया है.
हाँ ये वो कम है. इसका क्या जवाब दो?
इसका नहीं है,
तो मुझे सिखाएगा. अरे
इसका कोई कमबैक ही नहीं है. You can never one up your dad because the moment you try to do that, अब तू इतना बड़ा हो गया. बस मैं स्कूल लेके गया हूँ तेरे को.
Yeah, my dad has another saying. So like my dad, for instance, I'll give an example. Like my dad has always taught us physics and maths because he's like an engineer himself.
Oh,
and IIT.
All dads.
And yeah, and like really good. Like his basics were like excellent. To the point where if something is, I have to study something that's whatever the syllabus is, right? My dad would go like 2 steps before the syllabus and like 5 steps after the syllabus to explain that whole topic. And it would be very, you don't want that, dude. You're wasting time also. That's not in the syllabus. Why are you teaching me this stuff, right?
Learning maths and driving with your dad is another memory and trauma.
Exactly. But at the end of it, no? Like, so how your dad would start a conversation with that saying, my dad would end the conversation or end the lesson with a saying which goes, हिम्मत और समझदारी से मुश्किल काम भी आसान हो जाता है.
अरे बाप.
Nice.
Always. And he still uses that line till date. Like he's teaching me about finances and I still don't understand anything. He's telling me about investing, you know. Like हिम्मत और समझदारी से मुश्किल काम.
Listen to एक चूज की finance.
Yes. That's what.
Wow,
good plug. Yes. Nice.
So one good thing about this is कि मेरे डैड ने मुझे कभी पढ़ा है
नहीं. मुझे पढ़ा है और I don't recommend it.
I don't recommend. Yes.
मेरे डैड ने मेरे को हमेशा एक बात बोली है, कह रहे पढ़ाई से कुछ नहीं हो रहा है लाइफ में. ठीक है, तुम उतने नंबर ले आओ जितने, मतलब कुछ प्रेशर नहीं है. 90-95 वो कह रहे रिस्पेक्टेबल नंबर जो तुम्हें लगता है तुम ला सकते हो. ठीक है, विनिंग इन लाइफ, विनिंग एट लाइफ इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट देन ऐसा नंबर लाना.
That's so forward thinking, yeah?
ब्रो इतना प्रेशर ऑफ हुआ था ना,
sure.
तो तभी मेरे अकाउंट्स के ये हाल थे.
मैं बोलने वाला था फिर क्यों फट रही थी तेरी
Your dad
exam
just
में?
gave up on you.
And yeah, all your Marathi marks sucked also, I'm sure.
Like amazing. मतलब when I walked into like boards वाला वो ना, and everybody is like यार डैड ने बोला 95 आएंगे तो ये दिलाएंगे, घर वालों ने बोला मेरे बाप ने बोला पास हो जाना. ठीक है, IP में एडमिशन लेना है, 51% कट है, उतना तो आ ही जाएगा. ठीक है,
मेरे पापा
88 ब्रो.
अरे वाह ब्रो.
मतलब
वाह.
अलग, मतलब मैं इतनी फटी हुई थी, मैंने रिजल्ट देखा, मैंने सिर्फ नीचे पास देखा, नंबर ही नहीं देखे भाई कितने हैं, मेरे को कंपार्टमेंट के डाउट्स थे खुद, क्योंकि अकाउंट्स का पेपर, मैं पास देखा, मैं खुश नाच रहा हूँ इधर उधर, एंड देन माय डैडी लाइक नंबर कितना, मैं वो नहीं पता पास लिखा है नीचे.
You know what? I think I will send this to my family so they can understand, Mom, without pressure you can study. God damn
No, I
it.
think the reason I am good with at least basic maths is because of my dad. The
Really?
reason I know percentage is because of my dad. He's just worked around and taught me different ways of making maths easy for me. He's the one who consistently sat me down. He's like, "Kar beta, ho jayega," and that's the reason I got really good marks in maths. He would bribe me with movies. I'm like, मुझे जाने तो यार, जाने ना, देखने है like, बेटा इतनी theorems तो पूरी लिख दे, फिर मैं तेरे को पिक्चर देखने लेके जाऊंगा.
मैं कभी पिक्चर ना
And
देख
he
पाता
did
अगर
that.
ये होता मेरे साथ तो.
And I was a very obedient child.
My
10th तक
my
मैं भी
brother-
बहुत अच्छा था, पता है. 10th में I scored 100 on 100
Oh wow, in
In
what?
what?
मैथ्स,
Oh, wow.
बोर्ड्स में.
Really?
Yeah. और साइंस में 97 100 में से. फिर वो
क्या
ऐसा
हो गया स्नेहिल?
वो
यहाँ कैसे?
मत पूछो.
So my brother was really good at mental maths, and it still is. Like he
Yeah.
can add like
Oh,
five
my
digits.
my
like,
dad
on
is
thing.
wonderful at
Yeah.
mental maths, dude.
Exactly. So
Amazed.
my brother can like multiply like three digits into three digits like literally in seconds. Okay. So he's like very good. And my dad would like show this off at like parties and all to his friends and shit, right? And then one day-
India's Got Talent.
One day I remember my dad. So he goes to my brother. He asked all these questions or whatever. And my brother able to like instantly give answers. And then he turns to me and he asks me, I can't give even one. Okay, and I start crying. And then my dad feels like, oh, beta, oh, that's so bad. And I felt like so inferior to my brother in that moment. So
No,
thanks,
but
Dad.
हम लोग one up करने की बात कर रहे हैं. I want to say this.
Yeah.
Jalasmi like, my dad is also in the race, guys.
No. So the thing is, we are 3 women in the house and Appa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there are a lot of things. My sister actually calls him out a lot. I am still okay, but if he makes any sexist comments, any racist comments, anything patriarchal, he's not patriarchal. He's the most modern person. He's allowed us to. He's been supportive of everything that we do. So that way he's quite forward thinking. But something very basic, my sister will just be like, "Papa, घर पे shirt पहन के घुमा करो, 3 लड़कियां हैं." No, so initially he's lived alone for 12 years. He was in another city, and now suddenly lockdown में सब घर पे थे. So there was so much friction, and we are just one-upping him like anything. But the good thing is he's been a sport about everything. So,
पापा
yeah.
बिना कमीज के घर पे ना घूमे तो पापा कैसे हुए फिर?
Exactly.
यार?
My dad is never like
Antariksh,
that.
your dad is too posh. I'm sorry to
Wearing
break it
kurta
to you.
pajamas at home.
अरे नहीं.
Yeah.
No, he's like, he doesn't like her wearing shorts in the house.
Ah.
So he's like, आप t-shirt
Right.
पहनो, मैं full pant पहनेगी. Deal.
नहीं पता ऐसा ना, ऐसे moments आते हैं when you realize that slowly you are turning into your dad.
Yeah. So when did you have
With
that?
age
मैं exactly मुझे पता है कब हुआ. You tell me.
So मेरे डैड का तो जैसे मैंने बोला कि मैं नानी नानू के साथ रहा हूँ 12-13 साल की उम्र से, तो दिस इज वन हैबिट जो मैंने नानू से बहुत पिक करी है. सो नानू वाज वन पर्सन जिनको हर काम अपना खुद करना है. कुछ मतलब ही कैन इजीली अफोर्ड कुछ भी, बट ही लाइक मैं खुद, वो स्टूल पे चढ़ जाते थे बल्ब बदलने एट द एज ऑफ 73-70. लाइक मैं जब कर सकता हूँ मैं क्यों ना करूँ. तो ही यूज्ड टू लाइक भरी गर्मी दोपहर में यूज्ड टू गो टू दिस सब्जी मार्केट सेइंग कि दिन में सब्जी सस्ती मिलती है. तो वो चले जाते थे एंड फुल गर्मी में वापस पसीने में भीग के वापस आते थे. ये नहीं कि नहाने चले जाओ या कुछ, कुर्ता उतारते थे, पंखे के नीचे ऐसे खड़े जाते थे
All
कि
dads.
पंखा सुखा देगा मेरे को. एंड रिसेंटली व्हाट हैपेंड वाज, मैं नीचे से कुछ खरीदने गया बॉम्बे में ही, एंड फुल ह्यूमिडिटी, पसीना एंड ऑल. मैं वापस ऊपर आया, मैंने टी शर्ट उतारी और पंखे के नीचे खड़ा हो गया. 30 सेकंड लाइक ओफ,
It works.
have I turned into him?
Yeah. मुझे पता है कब realize हुआ. So my dad has this habit where me and my sister used to have our room as kids when we were growing up, and our the kids room had this very mood lighting or whatever kids lighting जो होती है, ठीक है, और एक ट्यूब लाइट हुआ करती थी. Me and my sister used to hate the ट्यूब लाइट वाला लाइट, ये मिडिल क्लास वाली है, हमें बल्ब जला के ऐसे करेंगे, ठीक है. And my dad, no matter what ever room he enters in, he used to switch on the ट्यूब लाइट. इतना अंधेरा क्यों है, ट्यूब लाइट जलाओ, ठीक है. और मतलब a few months ago I did the same thing. I entered a room. I was on a film set and it was very mood lighting and everything. I was like, ट्यूबलाइट नहीं है क्या? ट्यूबलाइट जला दे रहा है. And as soon as I switched on the tubelight, I was like, oh shit. Where have I heard this before?
So मेरे को एक और चीज याद आ गई. So मेरे डैड ने ना, he was an assistant director in Mumbai पहले, actor assistant director. So he used to go to all these fancy places.
Is he in movies? In like movies that we
हाँ, पहले उस टाइम पे दूरदर्शन की जितनी मूवीज थी and all, तो we have, उनके पास ना पूरा एल्बम है जो संभाल के रखा हुआ है, and we used to from his modeling days and acting days and all of that. So anyway, he's been to like super fancy restaurants and like eaten बहुत अच्छी जगहों पे, sophisticated जगहों पे. तो उन्होंने मुझे फोक और नाइफ से खाना, वेरी अर्ली ऑन मैंने फोक और नाइफ से खाना सीख लिया था. तो अभी तक एक्चुअली ऐसा होता है, मैं डोसा फोक और नाइफ से खा रहा हूँ, अगर मुझे हाथ गंदे नहीं करने तो ये काफी लोग जज करते हैं, बट एनीवे. तो
आई एम राइट हियर.
हाँ, तो बट मैं मतलब आई मैनेज टू ईट ऑलमोस्ट एनीथिंग विद अ फोक एंड नाइफ बिकॉज डैड ने वैसे सिखाया. अब once what happened was, हमने घर में बिरयानी मंगवाई एंड मेरे डैड ने क्या किया, चटनी, रायता, ग्रेवी ऐसे हाथ से उठाई और चावल में डाली और ऐसे ऐसे मतलब वो हाथ से खाने लग गए सब मिक्स करके. और मैं ऐसा डिस्गस्ट हो गया. ये क्या कर रहे हो,
जमाना बदल गया.
क्या है ये, आपने मुझे ऑमलेट और ब्रेड फोक और नाइफ से सिखाया है, जबकि मैं इजीली ऑमलेट को ब्रेड में डाल के खा सकता हूँ उसको, बट मैं वैसे खाता हूँ और आप हाथ से ये क्यों नहीं. लाइक असली मजा ऐसे ही है, वो है लाइक चुप करो, स्पून से खाओ, ठीक है. तो उन्होंने चलो उस टाइम तो स्पून से खाया, धीरे धीरे उनकी स्पून से खाने की आदत हो गई. Randomly one day I order biryani. I'm like रायता उठाया, हाथ से डाला ऐसे करके, and I'm like पहली वैसी बाइट मुंह में डाली और ऑटोमेटिकली दिस थंब कम्स एंड लाइक बहुत ही रोमांटिक तरीके से बिरयानी goes into my mouth and I'm like, oh this is the point where I tore into my dad. And now बिरयानी आती है, वो स्पून से खा रहे हैं पर मैं हाथ से खा रहा हूँ मस्त एकदम.
मेरे घर पे फुल उल्टा है. I used to eat with fork and knife, and then Papa is like, क्या ये सब हाथ से खाओ ना, देसी. He's a big fan of everything देसी, so पतंजलि की products आते हैं घर में and everything देसी. And even tube lights का, my dad will always तुझे like पापा ने दिवाली चेक है. It's a
no wonder अब्बास 6 बजते ही ऑफिस की लाइट है.
Yeah, exactly.
Like every day since he's come, I'm noticing 6:10, 6:15 he gets up, सारी ऑफिस की चला, खुद 6:30 घर चला जाता है.
Yeah, then I'm the one who switches all the extra lights off.
और ये लोग सब बंद कर देते हैं. क्या प्रॉब्लम है तुम लोगों को?
My dad used to have this habit. My dad was always a funny one in his friend circle, in our family or whatever. And at like parties, right? He would always gather everyone around. Everyone would be like just listening to my dad relay the same jokes he has told at the previous party and at the previous party and at the previous
I have
wedding.
a question. So do you think your stand-up
I
thing
think
comes
so.
from there?
I think so. My dad is, both my parents actually, that I'm very thankful for, are huge appreciators of comedy. They like stand-up also.
Yeah, same.
Actually more now that I'm doing it. But they have loved comedy in all forms all their lives.
But I sometimes regret it because in the early days he would read me a WhatsApp joke.
Always.
And he's like,
use it.
Yes.
All the time.
ऐसे नहीं होता.
You can use it if you want.
You can use it.
Dads and WhatsApp is another love story.
Yeah. My dad
So
loves the all those marriage jokes, wife jokes.
Wife jokes.
My dad's
I have a
favorite.
story regarding this.
Yeah.
Okay, so 2017 January, my dad had a stroke. Okay. I was on my way back. I was going to a show from office and I got a call from my sister saying ऐसा हो गया, come to Bombay Hospital as soon as you can. ठीक है. Now I reached there. Man was in a pretty bad condition. He was on the stretcher. He was in the ICU. Okay.
Oh, sure.
And at that point, but he was conscious and he was talking and everything. So there is this instinct, I guess, which kicks in as a parent that your children will panic seeing you.
Yeah.
So you want to diffuse the tension so that they don't panic. ठीक है?
Yeah.
So my dad had just had a stroke. He was having trouble speaking and everything. But तो उनके पास जाके सुनना पड़ रहा था वो क्या बोल रहा था, ठीक है? Because he couldn't make out the words.
Yeah.
So I came and I was very like this thing. I was panicked and emotional and whatever. And my dad was trying to tell me something. So मैं उनके कान के पास गया and would believe. I don't know if you guys will believe this. This guy has had a stroke a couple of hours ago. He's struggling. God knows what's going to happen. And his first words to me are, एक बार पता है एक मियाँ और बीवी होते हैं. I was like, damn, आप स्ट्रेचर पे हो यार, मत बोलो ये सब.
I would agree.
Even mummy गुस्सा आती. My mummy's anger is just out of this world. Dad will
Same.
just
My mom was very short to very quick to anger.
You know,
The mom-
very quick,
my mom
very
was same.
quick, and
Yeah.
it's not like something you can take up. वो अलग level का fire है.
Yeah.
हाँ.
So then he'll do two things. One, he'll try to crack a joke and try to
Rookie
be
mistake पता है.
try to be a little romantic. If that doesn't work, he will change the topic. My dad is a master in changing topics. तुम कुछ बात कर रहे हो, he will just very nicely segue into something, and then because my sister and I know his tactics, we are like, Papa, topic change मत करो.
हाँ.
But for somebody else, they will not come to know.
हाँ.
Nice. Very smart. Huh?
एक्चुअली मेरे डैड ने कभी मतलब ये टेम्पर इश्यूज मेरे डैड के साथ उनके अपने मतलब पर्सनल लाइफ में क्या रहे हैं क्या रही है मेरे को नहीं मालूम. मेरे साथ तो बिल्कुल टच वुड भाई. अगेन आगे नहीं पता क्या होगा बट अभी तक तो टच वुड. सो यू नो आई हैव बीन सच अ कॉल की. ठीक है, एक बार ही क्या हुआ था, पूरे घर में वाइट वॉश हुआ है एंड मेरी मॉम शॉपिंग से आई है. ठीक है, लाइक ये मैं ये नेल पॉलिश लेकर आया, ये लिपस्टिक लेकर आया, ये क्या वो किया
For you, Snehal.
तो अब नाउ उन्होंने सब दिखाया एंड देन शी वेंट इनटू द किचन टू मेक समथिंग एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट. मैं छोटा बच्चा बेचारा, किसी को कुछ मालूम नहीं है, मैं उनके बैग से लिपस्टिक निकाला, लाल रंग की, दीवार पे पेंटिंग कर दी.
Oh, shit.
ठीक है, एंड देन माय मॉम कम्स लाइक ये कि क्या है. मैंने दीवार कलर कर दी. वाइट थी,
Red.
अब रेड कर दी. डैड ने तब नहीं डांटा. ठीक है, एंड देन वन अगेन स्टूपिड थिंग, लाइक पापा 1000 का नोट लाए नया. वो जब मैं छोटा था 1-2 साल का, लाइक मैंने ले लिया. कहते ये देख ही लाया हूँ, मैंने ले लिया. वापस दे. मैंने बीच में से आधा फाड़ा. आई एम लाइक आधा आपका आधा मेरा. उसके बाद भी पापा अगर सारी
बहुत patience है भाई.
बहुत पेशेंस है भाई.
Sorry, dude.
You know, when you mentioned the cricket ball story,
हाँ.
my dad has a thing with chocolates. तभी लॉकडाउन में भी he's like घर पे ना it's like मजा नहीं आ रहा. So he just got all the chocolates जो भी सुपरमार्केट में थी अलग अलग फ्लेवर की, and he's like चलो डिनर लंच के बाद एक एक खाएंगे. So after lunch he wants to eat, after dinner he wants to eat.
That's so true. My dad is the same way with stationery items. You know, like if he like he won't call for like one single pen. If you're running out of pens in the house, he'll call for like a whole bulk. He won't call for one single notepad. He'll call for like a whole bunch of notepads and
Yeah.
stick on pads and whatever. So yeah, I get that. It's like a hoarding mentality maybe. It's like convenience. I think it's more convenience.
Convenience,
बार
yeah.
बार कौन जाए?
हाँ,
Get it
true,
done on
true,
you know?
true.
Like food wise, right? Like when my father is very fond of eating from out. And like we going out with family or going out with friends or whatever.
True.
And whenever coming back, he'll get like buttloads of food, which is always great. He'll like all good kebabs and all, like your dad does with catering.
Oh भाई, my dad is a caterer by profession. And जब उनकी किसी भी फंक्शन में केटरिंग है या कुछ है, इतने खुश होते थे ना हम लोग कि अब अगले हफ्ते कबाब आते रहेंगे. गुलाब जामुन, इतना बड़ा पतीला भर के गुलाब जामुन आते थे कि मतलब हम लोग ऐसे होते थे कि हमसे खत्म नहीं होंगे, गली में बांट दो भाई, सबको दो. इतने गुलाब जामुन, कबाब, वेज नॉन वेज, घर में पापड़ियां आ रही हैं, भल्ले पापड़ी बन रहे हैं रोज.
Oh man, I'm hungry now.
Yeah, so am I.
On this note,
Actually, on this note, I think we've talked a lot about our fathers.
I love you, Dad.
Love you, Dad.
Love you, Dad. So I think we never say I love you to our fathers. Never.
Dude,
I do
Yeah.
sometimes. I
Yeah,
text it.
it's-
I text it sometimes.
No,
sometimes when
never.
he sends me money, I'm like, hi, thanks, Dad. I love you.
नहीं ब्रो, एक्चुअली जेन्युइनली बता, मैं ऐसा बहुत बार ही हुआ है कि मैं मूवीज में देख रहा हूँ और कुछ ऐसा सीक्वेंस आ जाता है.
Dude, dad son sequences do make me tear up
Bro,
easily.
बहुत गलत.
I don't know why
level
this
से.
is.
मैं देख नहीं पाता हूँ, पता है वो
Because
sequences.
the same thing, it's also all that pent up.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Because
Yeah.
you always want to like express those emotions
but
to your
you
dad,
can't.
but you can't. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you can't. I think it's a very unsaid thing.
Yeah.
There are
Yes.
little moments where you समझ
And
जाता है कि this is what you want to convey, but ऐसे नहीं बोला जाता.
So you know, there was this one time, I don't remember the movie, but मैंने बस dad को text किया कि dad I love you, and he calls me and he's like,
सब ठीक
क्या
तो है?
हुआ है सब? And I'm like, बस मूवी देख रहा था.
ऐसा
नहीं यार, एक तो my dad So once what happened was I was talking to my mom about some issue that happened with a girl. Okay, and it was not like a breakup thing. It was just like an issue that happened. So my dad happened to overhear and he called me the other day and he's like, मेरे बेटे का दिल टूटा है क्या? भाई only I मतलब उस point पे मतलब even if मतलब वो गलत ही बोल रहे थे, दिल टूटा नहीं था. But the thing is कि the sheer thing that he called and he said मैं वहाँ पे मतलब yeah bro, a tear rolled down, but I was like, पापा ऑफिस जा रहा हूँ, okay bye. It's just that you can never express. It's just a dad thing, which also makes me think कि मेरे बेटे बच्चे भी नहीं कर पाएंगे.
Are you comfortable talking to your dads about your relationships and
Not
everything?
at all.
Nope.
Not at all.
Are you?
I mean, I've never spoken about relationships because I've hardly had just one. But शादी की बातें होती है घर में. So he has this thing.
शादी तो ठीक है.
He has
शादी
a very,
relationship थोड़ा.
Yeah, शादी is not relationship.
he has a
शादी की बात comes
very
up.
timeline thing कि बेटा 24 is when you get married. Then by 27, 28 you have to have a kid so that before you retire, your kids are settled. He has this timeline. He will pitch this timeline to all the boys in my family. To me also. But
Because you're a boy of the family.
Yeah, I can say that. But no, I'm very rebellious. I'm like, शादी okay wait, अभी नहीं होगी.
Jalasmi like, पापा पहले कमीज पहनो.
Like
कमीज
I am so uncomfortable talking to about this thing to my dad because my dad, the one time I did tell him about a relationship, he disapproved of the girl. So I'm like, never again, dude. It's not happening.
No, शादी conversations keep happening, but
Bro, yeah.
he's cool about things.
Okay. So that brings us to the end.
As usual, shaadi conversation ended with an awkward silence.
Yes, exactly. I think it's the Shadi conversation. Anyway, we'll come back with some good recommendations.
Yes,
As far as we can run from Shadi conversations. Okay, bye.
Yeah. All right, and we're back. Snail's dad, Snail loves you. All right, so our recommendations. Let's begin with Abbas.
So I have a novel I'm going to recommend. It's called Several People Are Typing, and it's written by Calvin Kasulke. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. What's unique about this novel is, unlike most novels, like 99.9% which are written in prose, this novel is written completely in the form of Slack channel conversations,
Ew.
which we are all very aware of because we use Slack for our internal communication.
Kabhi nahi.
But so I mean, once that novelty factor gets over, कि हाँ सब कुछ Slack में है, and how people are having side conversations on their own and they put up one face in general chats. It has a bit of a horror/sci-fi spin where one of the characters' consciousness gets trapped in Slack. So now he's having conversation with a Slack bot. Slack bot, for those of you who don't know, is like the internal Alexa or whatever you want to call it, just like inbuilt bot
Slack.
hota hai on Slack, which helps you with everything. So he tries to get his consciousness back from the Slack bot, but the Slack bot gets his consciousness. So the Slack bot becomes a person and the person becomes the Slack. I know it sounds very bizarre.
Very 2022.
But yes.
All the more reason we should not use Slack.
So it's a very, very interesting novel. There's a lot of storylines going along, and it also is a satire on the corporate work culture of how it exists in 2022.
Right.
So very fun novel. Please check it out. Several people are typing. Since it's Slack conversation, it's very easy to read, and even though it's some 300 pages, it barely took me a day and a half to read it because it's very brisk to read. So yeah.
But dude, I agree with Snayhil and Jalasmi. I also hate Slack. It's the worst. Slack is the worst.
The only place where we can't Slack.
Literally, you cannot
Slack.
Slack on Slack. Can't be cut Slack on Slack.
Yeah.
Jalasmi, what about you?
So I want to recommend a song. It's called Farq hai by Suzanne.
Farq hai by Suzanne.
Yeah, so I've heard this song before.
और मेरा बहुत अच्छा दोस्त है, उसका नाम है शुजान.
लेकिन उसने ही गाना नहीं गाया.
पर उसमें उन दोनों में फर्क है.
Exactly. I've heard this song before, but very recently I heard it in a very beautiful setting with somebody, and I was able to realize कि ये song का mood काफी अच्छा है.
The music video has cats.
Yes.
Music video has cats. I will watch this and listen to it.
Yeah. So then I've been a fan of the song after that.
What was the artist
very
name?
Beautiful.
Suzanne is the artist name.
Suzanne. Yeah.
Snayhil,
Okay, yeah. My recommendation is Bad, the album by Michael
No,
Jackson.
you want good recommendations, yeah? I'm going to do this every time. You start the sentence.
So it's an amazing album. मैंने बहुत मतलब obviously my mom introduced me to Michael Jackson का music and सुनी थी पहले, like it's a good album, legendary singer and all of that. अभी recently I've started tripping on this album again, all over again. I don't know why. I just randomly stumbled upon Bad the song,
Right.
and उसके बाद से I was like मैं माइकल जैक्सन की ट्रिप पे ही चला गया पूरा.
You know, that happens. That is, and it's great when that happens. When like older artists, when you like you weren't aware of, suddenly you hear one song and like, why haven't I heard this all my life?
Bro, everything के like VH1 पे हम लोग वेट करते थे माइक. Oh, by the way, माइकल जैक्सन का भी डेथ डे भी आने वाला है 25th June.
Hey, congrats!
So, actually, this could have been my recommendation for next week. Anyway. उनकी याद में. So, bro, Bad, Liberian Girl,
Smooth Criminal,
The Way You Make Me
Speed Demon, The Way You Make Me Feel, सब legendary songs. जिसने भी ये album नहीं सुनी है, should definitely listen to it.
Yeah.
अब तो ऐसा भी नहीं कि songs.pk से डाउनलोड करने पड़ेंगे. Spotify पे जाओ, सुनो.
Wait, songs.pk पे इंग्लिश में गाने भी मिलते थे?
Bro, obviously, bro.
हिंदी तो बहुत मैंने डाउनलोड किया है. इंग्लिश was LimeWire.
Linkin Park के बीच में आ जाता था. Songs.pk.
So my recommendation will be the album Bad by Michael Jackson. Oh, obviously. Oh, sorry. Actually, मेरा जो पहला email ID था ना, that was badsnayhil@gmail.com.
Oh, nice.
So it was like मैंने ऐसा एल्बम के नाम पे बैड रखा था, and then बाद में like उफ, ये तो मैं बैड स्नेहिल लग रहा है, ये तो गलत है. उसको रेक्टिफाई करने के लिए मैं ईमेल आईडी बनाया rockingsnail@gmail.com.
Do you still use either of those?
Bro, I use Rocking Snail. It's my Apple ID for sake. I can't even change that now.
So there was a cousin of mine.
Yeah.
Similar kind of problem. His email ID was serial_kisser, his name. And this is the email ID he was putting on college forms and everything for admissions.
I have one lamer than that because it doesn't have my name in it. Okay. Mine was, I used to like movies a lot, and this is during the time we were living in Goa, and a new Inox theater had opened in Goa. So my email ID was inox242@yahoo.com.
Wow.
For no reason.
Sir, आपका AC नहीं चल रहा है. Inox242.
Inox, please give him a lifetime of free movies.
Yeah, I deserved at this point.
My dad set up my first email ID, so I have a very decent one. I couldn't play along
Was
with
it your full
names.
name?
It was
Yes.
no_illegal_activities. No, I like how when Antariksh was making it, he must have put Inox at Gmail, and
Yes.
Inox is already taken.
It was, yes, I remember.
So then Antariksh was like, what can I
That's
change
so
it
true.
to? 4-3.
243 is also taken.
I wonder मेरी विदाई में भी पापा बोलेंगे क्या?
No
बेटा,
illegal
no illegal activities.
My recommendation is a YouTube channel. So in the last few weeks, I've really gotten into catching up on all Star Wars lore and watched The Mandalorian, watched the Book of Boba Fett. I'm watching the Obi-Wan Kenobi show, and it's going great. And I've really gotten into finding out about Star Wars lore, history, what happened in world, how the Sith were formed, and all the great Sith that have existed, all the great Jedi that have existed. And I stumbled upon a channel on YouTube called the Stupendous Wave, and it's great for this kind of stuff, dude. There are a million and one channels on YouTube for Star Wars lore, of course, but this one is especially good because he will talk about topics that are not in the live action stuff, but might be there in like Star Wars Legends comics or like the omnibus books and all what have you. So check this out. So he has topics like why the dark saber is fighting against Din Djarin in the Mandalorian. So because spoiler alert for the Mandalorian, but you get it. Then like there's a recent in Obi-Wan Kenobi, there's an Inquisitor, the Grand Inquisitor controversies going on. I won't say much more than that. But then he talks about that. He talks about the other orders, the dark force orders that existed other than the Sith, and the very cool stuff that you will be into if you're into Star Wars, if you're getting into Star Wars. So just check it out, Stupendous Wave on YouTube. And that's the end of our recommendations round.
Yes, and then we'll be back next week.
Are you thinking. Yes,
we will be back next week.
Yes.
And talk about everything pop. जो भी इस महीने में pop rap June,
Yeah.
जो भी इस महीने में हुआ है pop
In
culture
pop
में,
culture में, yes.
Guys,
we'll
half the year is over, guys.
Wow, so we should do maybe a year, half a year
We'll be
round.
over by the time.
Maybe we can do a half year
Yeah.
roundup, but
Pop rap.
we'll think about it.
6 month
And
pop rap.
one of these.
एकदम existential crisis हो गया मेरे को.
Correct.
25 की उम्र में क्या कर रहा है?
अरे,
Star Wars की recommendations
don't
सुन
worry,
रहा
there
है.
are people older than you.
Yes.
सबको
Yes.
same.
And
Just-
yeah, one of them just turned.
Oh हाँ,
much
belated
older.
happy birthday
To
Antariksh.
Antariksh,
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Thanks. I had to remind you guys myself.
How old are you now?
He's
Man,
30.
I'm 30.
Oh,
Welcome to the 30s,
And
bro.
don't beep that.
तुमने अपने बर्थडे पे वो किया था क्या? Oh God, why me?
My God, Joey wala. My God, why?
Let the
We
other
had a
turn
release,
on.
not me.
I was very
My
happy.
brother called me up. Literally, that was his. My brother's 32, and he calls me up and like, मुझे वो जोई का scene याद आ रहा है.
Welcome to the
Oh
other
my
side.
God, why?
I was very happy on my 30th birthday. And
Really?
all the birthdays since my 30th have been really good. And 2 of them are in the lockdown. Yeah.
30 के बाद relationship में आ गए होंगे.
30s are good, man.
Yeah, you
30s in way. Okay, I will not say this on air.
let's talk
Spoiler
about it
alert
later.
for 30s, by the way.
Yes.
Anyway,
Alright, thank you
we'll be
guys.
back. We'll be back. Okay, bye bye.
Bye.
Ciao.